he looked about that business. I'm not so sure it's going to go 5 rounds. No chance in, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome to another episode of Rock Pops MMA. I'm your ringmaster and host, Rock Blackwell. And on this episode, we're popping on the preview for UFC 203. UFC 203 is a card that I'm actually more excited about the closer it gets. I wasn't that interested in it before. I was always going to watch it, but it just didn't garner that much interest. But as we get closer and I'm hearing more and more from the fighters and about the fighters and looking at the card, like I said, it's becoming more interesting. First of all, I just found out a couple days ago that Uriah Faber is actually on the main card. Uriah is getting up there in age and he's becoming kind of a journeyman. He's going up against Rivera, who is at this point, I think 19-2. He lost his second fight and has actually gone on a 19-in-a-row win streak or something along those lines. I mean, so my first pick is going to be Rivera, even though I like Uriah Faber. He was exciting back in the day. Since he's gotten to the UFC, he's always been almost there. He could never get past Dominick Cruz. The next fight I want to talk about is the co-main event, Travis Browne versus Fabrício Werdum Part 2. Here's my thoughts on this. Initially, I just figured, after that 5-round battle that they had a couple years ago, Werdum showed that he was the better fighter at the time. He weathered the storm from Travis early and then began to pick him apart. Now, what was cool to see back then is that even then they could go for 5 rounds. And even though Travis has not really had a really good win since Brendan Schaub back in, I think, 2014, I'm thinking it's going to be a good fight. I still think Werdum is the better fighter and he's going to be able to pick Travis apart. But based on what I've been seeing, especially in the press conference, the fact that they kept talking past Travis Browne, they kept talking past him. When they did the stare down, Travis would not look away. Like, he really, really wants to beat Werdum. The only problem I see is he's only had 4 weeks notice. And Werdum has been training and he is focused. I think he's the better fighter all around. He reminds me kind of a middleweight or a welterweight, the way he fights and moves even at heavyweight. We're seeing the heavyweight division really start to look a little bit different, and he's still got that knockout power. But I'm wondering if Travis can sneak a win in on this one. So even though my head tells me to pick Werdum, and coming into this video, I was thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to pick Werdum because he's just a better fighter. Something in my gut says Travis Browne might catch him, especially like Stipe caught him last time for the belt. Speaking of Stipe, I want to go to the main event. Stipe Miocic versus the Alistair Overeem. The Reem. The Uber-Reem. The Demolition Man. Now this is going to be a fight, folks, but I'm not so sure it's going to go 5 rounds. If it goes 5 rounds, I think it favors Stipe. Stipe comes in with a wrestling background. He was a Division I wrestler and he's been a boxer. So what's going to determine this fight is how long it goes and the distance by which the fighters fight. What do I mean by that? I think if they are within boxing distance, so that you're not really worried about leg kicks, but they're just trading jabs and trading blows, that's going to favor the champ Miocic. Because, like I said, he's a boxer. It also enables him to just strike, and he's got some crazy knockout power in short punches. You'll notice that if you see him punch long, he loses a lot of his power. When he just knocked out Werdum, it was a close punch, real close punch. That's kind of how he does his damage. He's also able to take some punches. So if they get into a boxing match, I think that favors Stipe, and over the long haul of the match, I just don't see Overeem being able to withstand that. However, I also don't think Overeem is going to let that happen. I think he's going to utilize kicks because he was a K1 champ. He was a Strikeforce champ. He knows how to kickbox. He knows Muay Thai. He's got crazy knees. He's got crazy kicks. And he's lost some of his weight. I think some of that might have been some juice. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that now that he's slimmed down, so he may be a little bit quicker. I think that he'll know how to utilize that distance and utilize his kicks. But then this may be a place where Stipe can check kick and also go in for single legs or double legs or catch the kick and then go to work from there. That's kind of a back and forth that really, it makes it hard for me to choose. Overeem has the advantage in not just wins. Of course, he's got 41 wins, to where Stipe only has as many wins or fights as I believe as Overeem has losses over this 22-year career of his. I think that fighting at home is not going to be bad for Stipe. They're fighting in Cleveland, and I think that that's not going to be a bad thing for him. He usually fights well on the road, but he's never fought at home, and I think it might juice him up. The only problem I see is that in watching the Embedded series, he's been really loose, really fun. But when I saw him on the press conference, man, he looked about that business. He looked about that business. Not that Overeem didn't, because he did. But there seemed to be a little bit different of an edge. So, what's my pick for the main event? I gotta go with the champ. Oh man, I can't even believe I'm saying this. Because I think Reem can beat him, but for some reason, I think that this is Stipe's night. I think if they had a rematch, oh man, that's even hard to say because Overeem has been gunning for this. I changed it. I changed my pick. I'm going with Overeem. Look, he's been on a tear, folks. He came in and he was supposed to get there. He got stopped by Travis Browne. I think that he's become a better fighter since then. I think he knows what he's doing. And even though Stipe has the requisite skills to be able to put up a good fight, I don't think it goes 5 rounds. I think Overeem ends this by submission or TKO in round 2 or 3. I don't even think that he gets the championship rounds. That's my pick for that. You may have noticed that I skipped over one fight, and that is the fight that everyone is tuning in to see on this card. Not us big UFC fans, but those of us who are also WWE fans and the world at large. CM Punk, former WWE champion, is going to step into the octagon with a record of 0-0. That's right, you heard me, 0-0. He's had no amateur fights, no professional fights. And this dude at 39 is going to step into the octagon for a pay-per-view for the first match he ever has. That is insane. He's going up against a young guy, 24 years old, Mickey Gall, who's only had 2 professional fights. But Mickey's been fighting jiu-jitsu and training, I believe, since he was 16. So this is second nature to him. Look, I'd love to say that I think this is going to be a great fight and CM Punk's going to be able to pull it out. But the reality is unless there is a lucky punch or that Mickey Gall throws this fight, there is no chance. Vince McMahon's music says no chance in hell that he can beat Mickey Gall. We've seen 0 footage of CM Punk fighting, and the little bit that we have seen montages of him in practice and slow-mo stuff, he looks sloppy, it looks terrible. They are hiding him so that people still tune in for the pay-per-view because they know there is no chance. And I can't fault the UFC for doing it. It's a payday. We'll see what happens, but those are my picks for the winners. So guys, that's what I got for you in this episode. Let me know. Who do you think are going to win the fights? Do you think the fact that CM Punk is fighting is a good thing or a bad thing? Do you think that Stipe fighting in his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio is going to be help or harm? Whatever it is, holla at your boy at the comments. As always, thank you for watching this episode of Rock Pops. Be sure to click like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, keep it poppin'. Peace.